Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is enjoying the beautiful Boston. It's a little cooler than probably would be expecting, but we are in New England. First of all, thank you so much for the honor to be here and be able to share some of my insights. Healthcare analytics and healthcare specifically, it's really important to me from my own personal journey, but also from wanting to help people and understanding how technology and analytics can help everyone. So let's imagine a little bit about having our watches that track our time, our steps, tell us several years in advance that we're gonna have a heart attack. Let's imagine that someone who is struggling, who is one of our loved ones, is struggling with a cancer diagnosis. And we can run their DNA sequence and not only identify the right treatment for them, but treatment that will never have any side effects. Wow. Someone would say that's long from now, but it's not a science fiction. We are living in it right now. During these few minutes of this presentation, we're gonna talk about the healthcare trends, the opportunities, how technology and AI are changing our daily lives. And we're also gonna talk about the challenges related to data protection, ethical treatment, and the biases and the disparities across our communities. So healthcare industry is one of those industries that is gonna grow at an extreme fast pace. By 2028, we will be spending more than $6 trillion. That's a lot of money. And when we are thinking about technology is driving most of the transformation. It's driving the advancements. It's driving the opportunities to heal patients. So let's think about precision medicine. I mentioned that we are already looking at DNA and we can sequence and understand what are some of the pathways we can treat cancer or rare genetic diseases. But what is more important is that precision medicine has 40% greater impact on the health outcomes of patients than a normal treatment patterns, meaning following just a normal therapy, step therapy that we are asked to follow. Furthermore, as we are thinking about these beautiful watches and the cell phones that most of us have, we are now able to really benefit from the treatments, from the technology, from the innovation that technology is giving us. It's not only about tracking our steps and making sure that we stand up every hour or making sure that our heart rate is at the appropriate level. It's also about understanding by us, by our physicians, by our communities, what health are we in? Researchers predict, economists predict that these little devices are gonna save us $7 billion annually. That's a huge number. And why is that? That's because fewer visits to ER, fewer hospitalizations, greater awareness of all of us, because the moment it tells me that I haven't completed my steps, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do it most likely. Or ability to track how we are eating and telling us you eat too much fat or you didn't eat enough vegetables. It gives us all of the points and reminders of why we need to be better. And finally, it's also a way for the health system to tap into that information. And for your physician, for your nurse practitioner, say, by the way, you might want to start walking a little bit more. Have you been to the gym? And help with the more full 360, what we call it in healthcare, 360 view of a patient and the holistic treatment, not only from the drugs point of view, but also from your mental capacity, from your nutritional capacity, as well as your health, overall physical capacity. There is also new trend, and coming from healthcare industry, I'm gonna make a disclaimer here. AI is widely used in healthcare, but we are highly regulated. What it means is we are dealing with patients. So AI is coming in and is revolutionizing, especially with open AI and all of the algorithms coming on board. We can now, with very high precision, actually greater precision than human eye or a physician, identify changes in imaging. We can look at skin biopsies and identify the exact type of the cancer or the stage the patient is in. This is very revolutionary, and it's really helping to very quickly bring the right the right diagnosis, the right treatments, and ultimately improve the quality for that patient. Furthermore, many of us in the healthcare analytics division, what we are doing, we are studying the data and trying to understand what are the health risks, applying all of the newest machine learning models, all of the newest large language models, and understanding, mining through the data and saying, if you have this, you have 60% more chances that you're gonna get this type of disease. We are starting understanding what's really happening and how patients are responding to this and what the risk will be, and creating policies and treatments that can address that. That is extremely important, I want to mention, in cancer and rare genetic diseases, where we have really few patients only to do clinical trials on. That's very rare. We also think about, from the AI component, is how we are also impacting patients in general. The amount of information, digitization is very important. Being able to share very quickly amongst ourselves on internet, the information that is needed. Well, as with everything that is happening, any great technology advancement, any new machine learning models that are helping with moving healthcare industry forward, there is also a little bit of a risk. There is a little bit of a challenge. I'm sure some of you have heard of breaches of data going out. That's one of them. What happens to our information? How do you know that on your phone, every step you take or every food you eat that is being registered, that someone is not going to steal that information and use it against you? That someone is going to take your information and all of a sudden you're going to find out you are streaming on internet as the person to either follow or maybe not to follow. How do you know that? The next thing is how do we know that every person in this country or across the world is able to access the same healthcare, the same technology, the same physician's knowledge? We do not know that. While technology helps equalize us all and remove the disparities, it actually can increase the disparities even more. For those of you who might be living, or those of you who we know, live in rural areas or underserviced populations, do you think they get the same level of treatment, of expertise? Even with telemedicine, that since pandemic has been used in this country by 60% of the population. If you are living in rural Maine, that is not far from here, and you don't have access to high-speed internet, do you think you'll be able to get the same treatment as someone in here working, being treated at Harvard Health System or whichever other health system in this beautiful city of Boston? That's the question we're all trying to solve. So as we are thinking about the challenges for all of us, for our policymakers, is how do we bring this in? How do we create an environment where infrastructure is equal, where we all can benefit? Someone being in rural Maine or someone being in rural Wisconsin has the same access to physician because that physician has the same access to information. That someone who can't travel 500 miles to the nearest hospital with the specific specialization can do that internet call, can do that telemedicine, and get the exact treatment that they require. So we really need to challenge our policymakers and make sure that we have the infrastructure, that the companies producing all of the great devices like our iPhones and our iWatches and so forth, they also make them affordable. So those of us in this beautiful country as well as across the world who might not be able to afford as a result of lower income, lower education, or the situation they are in, they have access to the same thing. As we are thinking about what technology does for healthcare, I don't think anyone would doubt that it's bringing improvement in the health and the quality of life for patients. The amount of successful stories, and we heard several of them today, it's really a remarkable, not only by the human spirit, but by the technological advancements that we have and the brilliant minds that are helping us through them all. However, if we apply these models and these technological advances to only a limited number of people, we're still gonna be driving the same issues altogether. As the costs of healthcare are already higher than our wages, our salary increases, what's gonna happen if we don't ensure that healthcare or the technology lowers the cost of healthcare, and if we're not ensure that everyone in this country has access to internet that is going to allow for some of these developments. The last thing that I want to mention is technology is always going to be the best and it's going to help us drive it, and that's when the innovation is. But we have to remember, it will never be as compassionate as a human being. It will never be holding someone's hand as they are taking their last breath and telling them it's gonna be okay. They will never be hugging someone and saying to the family members who just had a loved one, that it's gonna be okay. So as we are thinking about technology, as we are thinking about as leaders, as researchers, as policymakers, or as normal residents of this country, always think that the human being is at the center of the technological advancement. And while we all love our gadgets, we won't be able to make progress until we remember who is at the center. Thank you very much.